a building that was supposed to revitalize the neighborhood.
We're talking about the 3 high-rise buildings you see behind me.
It's part of a billion-dollar project in downtown Los Angeles.
But the billion-dollar baby has been abandoned for 5 years.
Now the Oceanwide Plaza buildings have become towers of crime.
Taggers have been out there every night, and as you can see, they've covered every available surface that they can get to.
This is Oceanwide Plaza. 3 half-built towers that went silent overnight in January 2019. Together they had cost $1.2 billion. Nobody has ever lived inside a single one. In 2028, the world comes to Los Angeles for the Summer Olympics, and these towers will be in the frame. By early 2024, debris trespassing and unsecured access forced the city into emergency abatement on one of the busiest blocks in downtown LA. And the worst part, you're the one paying for the wreckage. How does a mega project this size end up entirely dependent on credit lines controlled 7,000 miles away? What happens to concrete and steel left exposed to the elements for 5 years, and why does it keep forcing the city to respond? If federal investigators had already linked this project to a corruption probe before the money ran out, why has no one answered for it? Why does a city that calls this an eyesore keep paying out of its own pocket to fix someone else's mistake? To understand how this happened, start with the man who built it. Oceanwide Holdings was a Beijing-based real estate conglomerate founded and controlled by Lu Jiqiang, a Chinese billionaire property developer. At his peak, Forbes placed his fortune at around $2.7 billion. He wanted a flag planted in the American luxury market. In 2013, Oceanwide bought 4.6 acres on South Flower Street, directly across from what was then Staples Center. The plan was massive. 3 towers, a Park Hyatt hotel, more than 500 condominiums, about 153,000 square feet of retail, and a new luxury anchor for downtown Los Angeles. The budget started at $1 billion. By groundbreaking in 2015, it had grown to $1.2 billion. By April 2018, the towers had topped out. Oceanwide's CEO Thomas Fung publicly called it one of the largest mixed-use projects in the city's history, a development he said was redefining urban living in downtown LA. That was the plan. Here's what actually happened. The tallest tower stands nearly 680 feet tall, 49 stories. Every inch of it built under California's strict seismic standards. Reinforced concrete cores, steel frame floors, columns engineered for the worst the ground can do. That code carries a price. A 49-story residential tower in Los Angeles costs 30 to 50% more per square foot than the same building in Houston or Atlanta. The engineering was not the problem, the money was. Then the money disappeared.
Now, China is tightening its scrutiny of overseas investments by state-owned enterprises.
The government has been reining in private sector overseas investment in the past few months in an effort to control capital outflows and avoid financial risks.
In 2017, the Chinese government tightened controls on overseas capital. For years, conglomerates like Oceanwide had bought hotels, studios, and skyscrapers abroad. Beijing decided too much money was leaving the country, and state-linked banks began pulling back from aggressive foreign projects. Oceanwide had financed $1.2 billion in downtown Los Angeles against credit lines controlled in Beijing, at the exact moment Beijing decided those credit lines were no longer safe to keep open. By January 2019, Oceanwide told its contractors there was no more money. Within days, Lend-Lease, the project's general contractor, and subcontractors walked off the site. The cranes were locked. The marketing center went quiet, and the Park Hyatt hotel brand quietly pulled out of its deal. That is the part most people miss. The towers did not fail because the concrete was weak. They failed because the financing was built on one assumption: capital from China would keep flowing into American luxury real estate forever. But that wasn't the whole story. In 2019, the Los Angeles Times reported that federal agents had sought records related to Oceanwide Plaza and other downtown projects as part of a City Hall corruption investigation. At the center of that investigation was Jose Huizar, then a Los Angeles city councilman, who represented the district that included Oceanwide Plaza. He was later sentenced to 13 years in federal prison for running a pay-to-play scheme tied to downtown development approvals. Oceanwide has denied ever paying a bribe and was never charged. But the warrant placed the company inside a federal corruption investigation into the approval process that let its towers rise 6 months before the financing collapsed. Two problems hit Oceanwide Plaza at once: a foreign capital crackdown it couldn't control, and a city approval system already under federal scrutiny for who it let build what. And the bill for both was about to come due. What nobody built for was 5 years with no one finishing the job and the deterioration that came with it.
Been sitting here for 5-6 years now. There's no one living in it. It's essentially just rotting to waste. There's nothing going on with it.
Glass panels never got sealed. Metal cladding never got secured. Temporary openings became long-term weak points. Rain got into places that were supposed to be closed off. Metal connectors, unfinished fire systems, exposed mechanical rooms, and interior walls sat through years of heat, wind, and water. That is why an unfinished tower is not just an empty tower. It becomes a building no one can fully trust without testing again. Every year it sits, the next buyer is not just buying concrete and steel. They are buying repairs, inspections, and years of unanswered questions. In the years after the cranes locked, pieces of glass and metal were falling onto Flower Street below, forcing traffic closures near the Arena District more than once. The perimeter fence was repeatedly breached. Trespassers, climbers, urban explorers, and squatters got in.
Video of people base jumping off the Oceanwide Plaza towers in downtown LA are circulating on social media. Just the latest in a string of illegal activities.
The Los Angeles Police Department had to repeatedly respond as the abandoned towers became harder to control.
The LAPD has spent some 3,000 man-hours guarding the towers, which requires taking resources from other areas in the city.
There is a real and present danger to people inside that facility of falling to their death or otherwise suffering some type of serious injury or death. So we need to secure it.
The city of Los Angeles ended up spending $3.8 million in taxpayer money to fence off and secure a building it didn't own. Roughly $1 for every resident of Los Angeles, for a building none of them will ever set foot in. Because this was still private property, tangled in lenders, contractors, investors, and bankruptcy court. The city could close the street, send police, and spend emergency money, but it could not simply take over 3 private towers and finish them. So taxpayers paid for the emergency. The owner never did. Then one weekend, the towers became a stage.
It's a shocking sight. Each balcony covered in brightly colored lettering, 27 floors in all. In the world of graffiti, it's called tagging, but perhaps never before has it happened in such a bold and dramatic way.
In January 2024, an estimated 30 to 40 taggers climbed the open stairwells of the tallest tower over a single weekend. By Monday morning, the upper 27 floors were covered in graffiti letters, 30 feet tall, painted across full window bays, visible from the freeway, the airport approach, and every camera angle in downtown LA. Drone footage showed taggers walking across upper floors with no railings hundreds of feet above the street. Base jumpers followed within days, parachuting off the tower and posting the videos online. 2 people were arrested. Several others were never identified. The photos went global within hours, the most photographed abandoned skyscrapers on Earth by accident. Mayor Karen Bass warned, "I guarantee tragedy will take place there if that place is not boarded up quickly." But the graffiti did something the lawsuits and unpaid bills had not done. It made the failure impossible to ignore. Because this was not happening in an empty desert. It was happening beside LA Live, in the heart of the district the city sells to the world. And now there is a deadline. In 2028, Los Angeles hosts the Summer Olympics. The Arena District around Crypto.com Arena will be on camera during the Games. International broadcast feeds will pass over this district hundreds of times. The towers will be hard to keep out of the frame. If Oceanwide Plaza is still standing half-finished when that happens, it will look like the city lost control of its own skyline. It forced Los Angeles to admit what it already knew. By the time the graffiti turned Oceanwide Plaza into a global spectacle, the finances behind it had already collapsed. Oceanwide's parent company filed for bankruptcy in Bermuda in 2023. Lu Jiqiang's personal fortune collapsed by more than 90%. A group of EB5 investors, foreign nationals who each put up $500,000 toward the project for a shot at a US green card, are now fighting to recover $157 million they say they're owed. Court-ordered appraisals in 2024 valued the project as is at roughly $434 million and pegged the cost to finish it at another $850 million. That gap didn't close itself. Part of it came from immigrant investors. Part of it came from contractors who said they were owed money. Part of it came from emergency public costs in Los Angeles, even though the city never owned a single unit in the building it paid to fence off. And all of it traces back to one decision: build a billion-dollar American skyscraper on foreign credit lines that could vanish overnight. Finishing it costs $850 million more. The cheapest option may not exist. And it's happening again, right now. This wasn't just a failed real estate bet. It was a system that let foreign capital speculative luxury development and an untested local approval process collide. Was this simply a foreign policy decision no one in Los Angeles could have stopped, or a local approval process that should have caught the risk years earlier? Both arguments have defenders, and nobody who made this decision is being asked to justify it. The same company tried this twice. Its sister project in San Francisco, Oceanwide Center, also stalled after the money dried up. In January 2026, that site moved toward a sale at a steep discount, another sign that the original bet had collapsed. Oceanwide Plaza was not a one-off accident. It belonged to an era when developers, cities, investors, and luxury real estate all believed the next buyer would always appear. Then the money stopped. Whoever finally buys Oceanwide Plaza inherits 5 years of exposed concrete and steel nobody has fully tested, a tower complex known worldwide for graffiti and trespassing, and a corruption investigation still attached to its history. The sale Los Angeles celebrated in February looked like the answer. KPC Group, a California-based real estate developer, and Lend-Lease put forward a $470 million purchase plan. But the city wants proof of financing. Creditors want protection. The court wants a plan that actually closes. Los Angeles is now fighting with the very rescue deal it hoped would end the embarrassment. You just don't know it yet. The project you just watched took years to fail publicly. The next one on this channel took longer and cost more. Subscribe, because by the time it makes the news, it's already too late. Comments are open. Name the city.